So right at the top, let me just start by saying that the Las Vegas Summer League is primed for hot takes that are oftentimes totally meaningless. I, for one, will never forget Kevin Knox being the second coming of Blake Griffin back in 2018, and we all saw how that went. So whether it's a good or bad performance from your favorite prospect, we always have to take Summer League for what it's worth, which is not very much. There truly isn't much you can take from a few games in July, especially when none of the players have appropriately been introduced to the NBA life, but it's still fun to talk about. So that disclaimer is just here for anyone who is gearing up to type a comment about how Summer League doesn't matter. I know it doesn't matter. I'm not pretending any of this is conclusive. Even if the Cavs had played great and looked like the best team in Vegas, I would have been cautious in all of my takes. So now that that's out of the way, let me just say, this has been a rough Summer League for the Cavs. I personally haven't been very impressed by really anything we have seen so far. Now, I'm recording this before their game tonight against the Lakers, so maybe that changes and this is just a freezing cold take right off the bat, but overall, I would describe this Summer League so far as underwhelming, and I decided I want to go rapid fire on a few notable Cavs prospects and just share what I've thought about their Summer League performances so far. And for that, I have to start with Craig Porter Jr. because his play has sort of defined the way this entire roster has looked, in my opinion. The offense has been incredibly disorganized. There's very little ball movement. No one is really running through any actions, and it's just all around looked like a mess. And I actually don't blame Porter for this entirely because I think he's just been instructed to play this way. I think they have had him enter Summer League with a different mentality than what we've seen in the past. Porter is known for being a traditional pass-first point guard. His feel for the game and his ability to smoothly orchestrate things on offense, that's what made him an undrafted darling last season, but this year Porter has seemingly been given a different role, and while it's interesting to me, I'm not the biggest fan. Porter has been significantly more aggressive, seeking his own shot during Summer League. He's had numerous possessions in each game where he brings the ball up the floor and just kind of dribbles for 8 to 10 seconds and then takes a difficult jump shot. The Cavs as a unit have had many trips like that where there's zero passes being made, and it's been kind of jarring because this is not something we have seen from Porter throughout the last season. He's taking many difficult three-point jumpers, and I'd have to imagine the Cavs have set him on this path because he doesn't strike me as the type of player to just go rogue and start taking these attempts all on his own. Last season, the three-point shot was Porter's biggest weakness, and he looked really reluctant to take any shots from that range. And that limitation really made it tough for him to impact winning, especially in the back half of the season when opponents started dropping off of him, and it just changed the way his minutes looked when you combine this with the fact that he hasn't developed too much of an off-ball game yet. Again, it's kind of tough to do that when you're not a catch-and-shoot threat, although I will say Porter is a decent cutter. It's just overall his lack of three-point shot was the biggest thing holding him back, and so it seems the Cavs have given him the ultimate green light in Summer League to try and improve in that regard. But the results so far haven't been great. Porter is shooting just 3 of 14 from deep, and it's really been a struggle for him in a way that I think the entire team is suffering from his play style. Porter should be the floor general, and he clearly has a talent for doing that and organizing an offense. We saw him do it all of last year, but that doesn't appear to be the goal this summer, and so it has led to an uncharacteristic and, to be frank, just a bad showing from Porter. I've been super disappointed in the way he has looked. I know many people, including myself, think Porter has the chops to be a backup point guard in the NBA, but this approach has felt all wrong to me. In my opinion, he should be focusing more on learning how to play a catch and shoot game and play without the ball rather than ramping up his usage and asking him to be a pull-up shooter. This just seems the wrong way to go about things if you ask me, and one way to achieve the other style would have been allowing other players on the Cavs to handle the ball a little bit more. If you let Emoni Bates, Luke Travers, or Jaylon Tyson serve as the lead playmaker and use some of Porter as an off-ball option, then I think that would have been a better way to focus on improving his three-point shooting, and I think the Cavs overall would have looked better throughout Summer League. But nonetheless, that brings me to Emoni Bates, who unfortunately to me is still showing all of the same limitations that he had a year ago. Now I want to be clear, Emoni has added some weight, and I do think that has made a noticeable difference in the way that he handles the ball and gets into the paint, but he still isn't getting around his defenders consistently one-on-one. A lot of his attempts have been difficult, contested shots where he is going away from the basket, and this of course is only going to be more difficult for him at the NBA level, and we just have not seen Emoni successfully rein in his bad tendencies or curate a healthy shot profile just yet. Bates has had moments where he swiftly attacks a closeout or just simply knocks down a catch and shoot attempt where he's at his best, but all of those good signs are followed up by errant passes or turnovers or these possessions where he just hijacks the offense to no avail. This is where I get really frustrated personally, as Emoni has so much clear potential as a lights-out three-point shooter, and it's just annoying to me to think how badly he was failed by the people who chose his developmental path. Everything from his role at Eastern Michigan to even the way he was brought up in high school, Emoni was never properly guided to become the type of player that he needs to be at the NBA level, and hey, the kid is working his ass off to get there. He talks about it in every interview, but we're still just kind of waiting for him to really hit some of these developmental check marks in a meaningful way. Right now, he's just a marginally better version of the player we saw last year in Vegas. And so with that said, I would assume that we will see Emoni Bates back in the G League this upcoming season to continue honing in his skills, because he has the talent. It just needs to be molded correctly. And I know some people on both sides are going to be frustrated, or they're going to call me a hater. I don't think it's a bad thing for a 20-year-old prospect to be in the G League and to work on his game. There's clearly some flaws that he still has to cover up, and I think the G League is still going to be the best place for him to do that. And so I have two more players that I want to quickly talk about, but before I get into those guys, I do just have to say Pete Nance, not great. He's had a truly terrible showing in Summer League. I just don't think he has a feel for any of this. He's a super bad defender. He's constantly lost on that side of the floor, and he doesn't bring much offensively other than the occasional three-point shot. Nance is actually the same age as Darius Garland, so I don't foresee him putting it together anytime soon, and I just wanted to briefly mention him because he is one of the main reasons the Summer League team has looked as bad as they have. So moving into one of the players who I would say honestly I'm most satisfied, if satisfied is even the right word to use here, it's Jaylon Tyson, the rookie. Now, he hasn't been anything special. I personally haven't seen much of what I was hoping to see, but he hasn't been bad by any means, and that's where the bar is currently being set for the Summer League roster. I'll start by getting some of his flaws out of the way. He's had some questionable turnovers and a few awkward mistakes with the ball. Granted, he is a rookie. He was the 20th pick in the draft, and this is Summer League, so a lot of that is to be expected, but fair is fair, and Tyson has not been perfect by any means with the rock. Some of his decision-making has been a little poor, and it seems like he's still adjusting to the speed of the NBA, but shifting to the positives, I've really enjoyed watching him in the spots where Tyson does look comfortable. I think he has a great feel for breaking down a defender, his handle is strong, and I feel confident his scoring will translate. He plays well without the ball, he knows how to make quick decisions, and he doesn't waste too much time getting into his zones. Tyson isn't going to hijack possessions or dance around too much playing outside of his comfort zone. He's a smart, heady player who I think will fit seamlessly into the modern NBA. Now, Tyson is shooting just 3 of 10 from the three-point line, which is disappointing because the efficiency is low, but it's even worse to me because the volume is so low. That's 10 attempts in 3 games. I just feel like it's obvious that Tyson's role in the NBA is going to be largely contingent on taking three-pointers, so this needs to be ramped up in my opinion. And this takes me back to the complaint that I've been making with the Summer League roster as a whole, which is Tyson should be seeing higher usage, Porter should be playing a more traditional point guard role, and Emoni Bates should be primarily crafting his game off of the ball. I don't think this Summer League squad has put any of these prospects in the positions that I would have put them in personally, and so it's really just disappointed me to see the way this unfolds. Again, it's just a few games in July, so I'm really not that upset. It's just worth keeping in mind that as a unit, the structure of this team has been really discombobulated. Bringing this back to Tyson, he has been a solid team defender. I love that he is always active on the glass. He's down there boxing out or trying to tap the ball on every missed shot. He's got a good solid frame that helps him in both of those departments, and his size should allow him to handle some contact against NBA level defenders when he's initiating the offense. Again, I would have liked to see him do a little more of that, but I digress. So my overall thoughts on Tyson are he looked solid. There's nothing to rave about, but I would comfortably say that he's going to spend most of his rookie season with the Cavs somewhere in the back end of their rotation, and I do think there's a clear path to him being in the 8-man group at some point in the near future, if not as soon as his rookie season. The last player I want to talk about would be Luke Travers, and I know this video has been relatively harsh, especially for the Summer League, but unfortunately, it's not going to get any nicer here. Listen, I would love for Luke Travers to come over and be an impactful rotational player for the Cavs. I'm just not super convinced he's ready for any of that. He hasn't done much of anything in his 3 Summer League stints. When you add in he has 5 years of pro experience in the NBL and he's still somewhat invisible on the court, it's a little disappointing. I know that's an oversimplification, but I just feel like a player who has this much experience should be treating Summer League like a cakewalk at this point, and that has not been the case at all, so it is concerning to me. Now, in fairness, I do think Travers is more of a glue guy who fills in as a connective piece more than the type of player who will go out and scorch a team with his scoring, so Summer League might not be the best place for his skills to really pop, and I would like to see him come over to the Cavs and spend some time in the G League. I think that's clearly the next step for him if getting to the NBA is his dream, and I will be watching him closely because I do think Travers has intrigue as a prospect. He definitely has some juice to his game as a playmaker, a slasher, and a team defender. His three-point shot needs to come around, and he hasn't had that much success taking defenders off the dribble in Vegas, but his raw offensive feel is there, and I think Travers might just need some time to adjust to the NBA level, and once he does that, he could be a genuinely impactful player. So to wrap all of this up, again, it's Summer League. I'll keep saying that over and over again. None of this means that much in the long run. I still would have liked to see these guys hit some developmental check marks, but it's not the end of the world that they haven't. I think Porter, Tyson, Bates, and Travers will all be around the team moving forward. At least they should be, in my opinion. Tyson is the only one I see playing legit minutes this season, but I think Porter could certainly get himself back into the rotation, while Bates and Travers would probably benefit from some time with the charge. All in all, I'm definitely rooting for all of these guys. Like I said, I want to see all of them succeed, and I think the Cavs would be thrilled if one of them or multiple turned out to be genuine NBA players. We still need to see some work out of all of them, but it's something that I'm excited to keep an eye on.